Welcome to the Critical Lyrical Analysis. My name is Farel Muhammad and I will be your host for today. And the song we'll be talking about is Cult of Dionysus by the Orion Experience. It's a song featured in their debut album Cosmic Candy, released back in January 1st, 2006. Now, this song is mostly talking about reigniting the thirst, the lust for life, being in the moment, being present, hopeful, loving, something a lot of us can learn from, especially in today's hyper capitalistic, fast paced, high consequence living. For some background information, this song was released during the peak of the Middle East conflict back in 2006, but nevertheless, the message of the song is still relevant today. Without further ado, let's start the analysis by listening to one of the few interesting sections of the song.
Take a holiday in the month of May. Run free and play in fields of flowers. That's the hours. Making love is how we'll pray.
Start a secret society for the wild and free. Our ideology is you can do what you want. Too much is never enough.
Alright, after listening to that first section, three things to talk about: the ideology, how they pray, and being wild and free. Knowing the background of this song, it's from the US, the land of freedom, the land of the free. Now, I think that this is actually a satire of the Abrahamic religion and the existence of purity culture. Mirroring the way people see purity and monogamy as something noble, this song does the opposite and portrays polyamory as something freeing and making love as showing faith compared to celibacy. Alright, let's listen to the second section.
What is with the world today? The wicked games that people play, the wars, the greed, they waste away, yeah.
Now, the second part is more direct. It's a direct critique of war and capitalism, but at the same time, it is ironic. In the same sense of being greedy and wasteful as something bad, they also preach about endless love and the ideology of never having enough of worldly pleasures. I feel like this section is trying to criticize war, but also preaches the seed of it, the mindset of never having enough. Moving on to the third section.
We got a mission, I hope. We got a message of love. Soon everybody, everywhere will be the envy of the gods above.
Now, the third section focuses back on preaching hope and love. But notice the last part, as it frames their ideology as something to be envied. The song is portraying a life of endless sex, wine, and women as something better, to be envied compared to the monotonous, monogamous nature of faith in the status quo in Abrahamic religions of today. They portray their side as something that is enviable, which I feel like is supporting my argument that this song is more so a satire or a mirror of Abrahamic religion and their purity culture and monogamy. This one preaches endless sex and polyamory. The song is probably trying to portray a mirror or so. I feel like that is my interpretation of the song. Moving on to the next section, which is bias and perspective. Now, when we listen to the song, it's mostly portrayed from a privileged point of view. It glamorizes a life of endless women, alcohol, something very hedonistic and privileged. As we all know, most people on the planet probably don't have access to such things. It paints life as something that we can just run wild and just be free, when in reality, most of us are bound by consequences, responsibilities, while it also critiques the monotonous nature of life currently now and back then. The glorification that is portrayed in the video, that is portrayed in the music, and the music seems more so like a showcase of privilege. It doesn't talk about how freedom is pretty much unattainable in their sense of like running wild and free, making love is how we'll pray. It's very much unattainable. It undermines the grip that Abrahamic religion has and pretty much well-established religion has and their influences on the world. It ignores the barrier to reach such a lifestyle. It doesn't talk about how poor people are probably never gonna reach that. The ideology seems fit for like a capitalist compared to anyone who's like on the lower class, which is very ironic for a song that is very much anti-greed and anti-war. Moving on from how biased the song is and how it ignores some perspectives, now we get into the part of the audience impact. For this section, I ask one of my friends, which is Kensin, for his opinion on the song. The message of sexual liberation, polyamory, resisting the purity culture, uh, is somewhat omitted. He doesn't really hear all of that. That being said, two prominent themes actually did pass through, which is optimism and love. He describes the song as something to vibe with and exciting. It carries with it the message of being hopeful and also gives the listener feelings of positivity. I do it does feel kind of bad knowing that the underlying message is omitted in the end, but the fact that some message is preserved even though he doesn't really listen to the lyrics, the tune itself carries the main idea, which is hope and excitement, being optimistic. It does its job very well in preserving those two themes, and I believe that it's solely based on how the listeners approach the song. If you're willing to listen to it deeply, analyze the lyrics, you would probably come to the same conclusion. But as a song to vibe with, it will probably still give you a good feeling, a good sense of hope and excitement that I believe will help you very well living in life, as the song is about being hopeful in a world that isn't very forgiving. Now, to conclude, the message of the song could be quite how do I say this? Very much convoluted, as it is satire, as in most people probably won't be able to get it on the first listen, second, or third. You probably have to listen with intention of dissecting the lyrics. And what I hope is for you to learn to listen to the lyrics of the song you listen to and actually digest them a bit. Try to see if like there is something hidden behind the tunes that is being hidden behind the good tunes, the vibe. And you might actually learn a thing or two, even through satire. And with that is the end of today's episode. My name is Farah Muhammad, your guys' host for today. Thank you for tuning in and see you on the next episode.